Okay, let's talk about deal analysis and what we're looking for when analyzing a deal. A lot of times, we're looking at a lot of the same things for buyers and sellers. If I'm walking through an apartment building with a buyer, I'm walking through an apartment building with a seller. A lot of times, I'm looking at a lot of the same things. They may be thinking about buying this deal, or the seller may be thinking about selling now, or thinking about selling on the horizon, 3 years out, 2 years out. And of course, we look at cash flow, current cash flow, and historical cash flow. I'm looking at historical cash flow as opposed to current cash flow to kind of figure out what the trends are. What was this property doing 3 months ago? What was it doing 6 months ago? What was it doing a year or 18 months ago? As opposed to now, if I got a trend and it's trending upward, I can capture that and I can kind of predict where this apartment is going to be a year from now or 2 years from now. Typically, over time, expenses tend to rise. Your gas bill goes up, your taxes increase, and other utilities and other costs tend to increase over time. And that's just inflation. And I want to see is this apartment building keeping pace with expenses, or is it outpacing expenses? Some owners, they've owned properties for a long time, and they don't increase rents just because they think the tenants may leave or something. But if I look at the other apartment buildings in the area, and this is okay year to year, but you own a building 10 years or 5 years, and you haven't increased rents, and you're scared if I tell these people the rent's going to go up, they're going to move. Well, if I talk to all the surrounding buildings and other owners in that submarket, and everybody's charging 50 or 100, $150 more than you, then chances are the tenants aren't going to leave if you increase the rents by $50 because they won't have anywhere to go that's comparable. Um, but here we're looking for a particular pathway to profit. Are some of the expenses in the building high for a building that size, or are um, also do some of the expenses don't look quite right? Are they artificially low? We look at employees. How much are the employees paid? Typically, does it take that many employees on staff to run a building of 150 units? Development, you got 6 employees, whereas other similar developments or similar apartment communities may be doing just fine with 4 or 5 employees. And also, how much are you paying them? Third-party expenses, like management expenses. Are you paying average for third-party expenses and management? Sometimes I may look and say the insurance bill is high. The insurance bill may be high because you got other policies with this same agent and you want to keep all your policies together, but this apartment building may not be where this agent specializes in, or this agent's firm may not really like that area. And sometimes when they don't like the area, they're not going to tell you, no, we're not going to insure you. They'll just give you a higher premium. And if the 5 or 6 buildings that I walked through over the last year or so have lower premiums, a lot lower sometimes, then maybe you should shop around. And sometimes you don't have to leave. All you have to do is tell your current guy, hey, I talked to this other company and they're talking about giving me a lower rate. What can you do? Sometimes just a couple phone calls will get you a lower trash bill because they know who the competitors are. Competitor may be undercutting them by 20%, trying to build up market share in that market. And if you tell them you talk to that competitor, and I probably know who they are, and I'm going to share that information with you because I want your building to do better. I want to see how I can add value. And you tell them, hey, I talked to these guys over at this trash removal company, and they're talking about giving me a much lower rate. A lot of times you don't even have to move. You can just they'll try to match them, or sometimes it makes sense to move to another insurance provider for or garbage carrier for that particular property. Um, uh, we look at that based on similar properties in the area. Is there opportunity to increase the rents? Sometimes I walk through a building and it may be doing well, but not as well as it could be doing. And this may be for a buyer or seller. If the seller's thinking about selling in a year, hey, or you may have bought the building or thinking about buying the building, we can show you how to add value. Sometimes it's something as simple as changing out electric hot water tank and converting the electric hot water tanks into gas hot water tanks. Or as units turn over, if you're paying all of the cooking gas in a building, converting gas stoves to electric stoves, whereas the tenants may be paying electric. In some places that work, in other places it may not. I'm just using these as examples. We looked at one building, it was an all electric building, and the new owner was coming in trying to figure out what to do, and we talked to him about the possibility of adding solar panels to the building. They did add solar panels after they acquired the property, and they're very pleased with the results. So some of those are some of the things that we look at, some of the factors that we look at when analyzing deals, and would be happy to look at those things and look at your deals and see how we can figure out how to add value to your bottom line as well. Thank you.